Molecular basis of inheritance. Lecture 1. In this chapter, we are going to talk about DNA, RNA, genes, gene expressions, protein synthesis. So, in today's lecture, we will understand the discovery of nucleic acids. So, Friedrich Miescher was a scientist who had for the first time discovered the nucleic acids. How he has performed it or how he has discovered this nucleic acid, let us study that. New Frederick Miescher from the local hospitals collected bandages. He washed those bandages with a saline solution and separated the pus from the bandages. The pus has WBC. The WBC has a very large nucleus. That is why he has selected the WBCs. The WBC cells were washed with an alkaline solution to rupture the nuclear membrane and the cell membrane. From that, isolated thread-like substances. When the thread-like substances were examined, they found out that this thread-like material is acidic in nature. Such kind of a material he called them as nucleic acids. Further examination was done of the nucleins, that is the thread-like material, which they found that the nuclein has phosphorus. The phosphorus is an acidic substance, so he called them as nucleic acid. That is why now we say that Frederick Miescher from the nucleus isolated the DNA. DNA as a genetic material. Some old concepts. In the modern world, we know DNA is the genetic material, but it was not so in the olden times. Protein molecules were considered as the genetic material because proteins are having larger structure. The proteins are complex molecules because the proteins were made by number of amino acids. Proteins are capable to store information to govern cell metabolism. Protein causes variation within the species, and that is why proteins were considered as the genetic material. On the other hand, DNA was not at all considered as a genetic material because the DNA is made by only three components: phosphoric acid, sugar, and the nitrogen bases. These three components are more or less same in almost all the organisms. That is why DNA was not considered as the genetic material. Now, some more experiments were conducted to find out about the transforming principle, or in a layman term, to find out DNA is the genetic material or not. Griffith performed an experiment. For this experiment, he has selected rough strain. These are the bacteria. Which are those bacteria? Streptococcus pneumonia. These are the bacteria which causes pneumonia into the humans. These bacteria have two varieties. The varieties are called as strains. If you see the surface of this bacteria, it is a rough surface. So this variety is known as a rough strain. And in this particular bacteria, the surface is smooth. That is why it is called as a smooth strain. So there are two varieties of Streptococcus pneumonia, rough strain and the smooth strain. Rough strains were injected into the mice and the smooth strain was injected in another mice. After some period of incubation, when the first mice was studied, the mice was alive. This means the R strain is a non-virulent strain. Non-virulent means harmless strain. And in the second mice in which the S strain was injected, the mice died. This means S strain is a pathogenic strain, or what we say virulent strain. Virulent is the more scientific word. In the third experiment, or in the third step of this experiment, heat killed S strains, okay, were injected into the mice, and he observed that the mice survive. This means by heating the S strains, the pathogenicity of the S strain is destroyed. So heat killed S strains are non-virulent strains. In the fourth step of this experiment, Griffith mixed heat killed S strains with the rough strains and injected them into the mice, and he observed that the mice died. He performed a blood test of the dead mice, and what he saw? He saw that R strains have taken up transforming principles from the heat killed S strain. So he concluded that there must be some particles in the heat killed S strain which might have been taken up by R strain. But he could not explain which are those transforming particles. And therefore, every McLeod McCarthy they performed an experiment to find out which are those transforming principles. So in their experiment, they have taken the smooth strain of Diplococcus pneumonia. As any other bacteria, even the Diplococcus pneumonia has DNA, RNA, proteins, and so many materials. In the first step of this experiment, lipids were isolated from the S strain and injected into the R strain, incubated for some time, and he observed there was no change. It means that the R strain remained unchanged. So lipids are not the transforming principles. In the second step of this experiment, isolated proteins from the S strains and injected them into the R strains, and no change. So even proteins are not the transforming principles. In the third step, isolated RNA from the S strain and injected them into the R strain, and he saw no change. So even RNA are not the transforming principle. Lipid, proteins and RNA are not the transforming principles. And now he isolated DNA from the S strain and injected into the R strain. And what he saw, yes, there is a change. Means the R strains are transformed into the S strain. From this experiment, we can say that DNA is the transforming principle. This experiment was conducted in 1944. Every McCarthy McLeod performed a confirmatory experiment in a slightly negative manner. How he has done it? He has taken three test tubes. In all the three test tubes, he added the R strains because he wanted to see which particle performs a transformation. In all the three test tubes, he added DNA, RNA, and proteins. In the first test tube, he added the enzyme protease. Protease is a protein digesting enzyme. In the second test tube, he added RNase. RNase is a RNA digesting enzyme. And in the third test tube, he added DNase. DNase is a DNA digesting enzyme. Digesting means destroying enzymes. So because of protease in the first test tube, the proteins will be destroyed. So what is functional there? RNA and DNA. And you saw that the R strains were converted into S strain. Maybe because RNA or DNA is functional. In the second test tube, again you saw transformation. Why? Maybe it is the RNA is destroyed. So who is functional there? DNA is functional. And in the third test tube, no transformation because DNA is being destroyed by DNase enzyme. So from this type of experiment also, he proved DNA as a transforming principle. The most convincing experiment is Hershey-Chase experiment. In this experiment, they have taken a virus. Now, this particular virus have two chemical components. That is, the blue color part is the proteins, and inside the proteins there is a DNA. So there are only two chemical components. Now this virus has the ability to infect bacteria. That is why called as bacteriophage virus. In this experiment, apart from bacteriophage, he has taken E. coli. E. coli is a bacteria. As it is a bacteria, it has a cell wall, cell membrane, cytoplasm, ribosome, DNA, RNA, and so many other things. Alright. Now, the very first step of this experiment was infection. The E. coli bacteria were infected by bacteriophage. You can see that bacteriophage attached to the cell wall. For transformation, remember, either the proteins should penetrate inside the E. coli or the DNA should penetrate inside the E. coli. Whatever goes inside the E. coli will be the transforming principle. The proteins were labeled with radioisotope sulfur 35. Proteins have sulfur, so they were easily labeled with sulfur 35 as a radioactive material. Radioactive material will help us to find out who is penetrating inside the E. coli or which material is entering inside the E. coli. After a period of incubation, blending was carried out. Blending means separation. The bacteriophages are separated from the E. coli. All these experiments are conducted in a very tiny test tube like this. After the blending, centrifugation was carried out. That means such kind of test tubes are rotated at a very high speed in a machine. So because of separation and centrifugation, inside the test tube, two layers were formed. The lowermost layer is a pellet. The pellet has the bacteria. Bacteria are heavy because they have cell wall, cell membrane, cytoplasm, ribosome, DNA, RNA. So they are heavy. And in the supernatant layer, which is the upper layer, has the viruses. Viruses are lighter in weight. So they have collected the samples from pellets and observed each and every bacteria. They saw that nothing means the proteins have not penetrated inside the E. coli. This means proteins are not the genetic material. In the second set of this experiment, the E. coli were infected with bacteriophage. This time, the DNA were labeled with phosphorus 32. DNA contains phosphorus, That's why phosphorus 32 radioactive substance was used. Blending was carried out, right? Blending means separation, and then centrifugation was done. And after the centrifugation, they examined the pellets. The pellets were tested positive for phosphorus 32. That means the DNA from the bacteriophage has penetrated inside the E. coli, which is responsible for transformation. So phosphorus is not detected in the supernatant. So where is the phosphorus? Phosphorus is inside the pellets inside the bacteria, and phosphorus was a part of DNA. So again, DNA is the transforming principle as proved by Hershey and Chase. Well, let us revise it. Three experiments were conducted. First by Griffith, he used Streptococcus on the mice. Second was the Avery McLeod McCarthy. They were the first one to actually prove that DNA is a transforming principle, and the most convincing experiment was done by Hershey and Chase. Thank you.